I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you're a foreigner and you're not white, the chance that you're going to be considered pretty in Korea is extremely low. As some of you guys already know, Korea has very specific beauty standards, and that being said, no matter if you're a foreigner or not, you have to fit into beauty standards if you want to be called pretty.
Okay, let's talk about something that has had the internet buzzing for a while now. So, a video recently went viral where an Asian woman shared her experience living in Korea. So, she claimed that Koreans don't find foreigners attractive, especially if you're not white. According to her, even though she's Asian, she was seen as ugly in Korea because she did not fit their beauty standards. This statement set a firestorm in the comments and on TikTok. Some people agreed, while some others accused her of spreading false narratives and even promoting colorism. She eventually apologized, but the debate is still alive. So today, we're going to break this down with facts. Do Koreans really think foreigners are unattractive? What are Korean beauty standards in 2025? And was this woman telling the truth or just misrepresenting reality? So let's get into it. First of all, let's look at the video that started this whole issue.
I'm sorry to break it to you, but if you're a foreigner and you're not white, the chance that you're going to be considered pretty in Korea is extremely low. As some of you guys already know, Korea has very specific beauty standards, and that being said, no matter if you're a foreigner or not, you have to fit into beauty standards if you want to be called pretty. Which means you have to fit in the same beauty standard that works for Korean people. So regardless of your races or your skin color, you have to be pale, you have to be skinny, you have to have a high nose bridge, and etc. So girls that look like her are the ones that are considered pretty in Korea. Here's another example of a foreign girl that will be considered super pretty in Korea. So as you can see, 90% of the time, they're all white. So if you're looking like those two girls, congratulations, you are pretty in Korea. However, one thing I want you guys to understand is that most majority of Korean guys still don't see foreign girls seriously, which I'm gonna make another video about. So don't get taken advantage of, please. I also wanted to add that if you don't fit into Korean beauty standard or beauty standard anywhere, who gives a fuck? Nobody cares. And I know it sounds cliche, and I did have a phase where I thought there was only one way to be beautiful, but as I'm seeing many people from many backgrounds, now I truly believe that everyone is beautiful in their own way. So yeah, I just mentioned it so you guys don't take this video too seriously, and if you guys have anything else you want to know, please let me know.
So, according to her, Koreans only consider people beautiful if they fit a very specific beauty mode, which is usually being Korean or white. That means if you're black, brown, or even Asian but don't have the right Korean features, you might be seen as unattractive. But is this true? Let's break it down. Before we analyze her claim, let's talk about what Koreans actually consider beautiful. Historically, Korean beauty standards have been very specific. Here are some key features that have traditionally been seen as attractive. Number one is pale or fair skin. This has long been a beauty ideal in Korea linked to wealth and, let's say, purity. The second one is a V-shaped face, which is a narrow oval-shaped jawline. The third one is big eyes with double eyelids. Many Koreans get double eyelid surgery to achieve a wider eyed look. The fourth one is a slim petite figure. Being thin has been heavily promoted in K-pop and their mainstream media. The last one is a small straight nose. The ideal nose for Koreans is high-bridged and narrow. Now, these standards have evolved over time, trust me, especially with globalization and K-pop's worldwide influence. Some Koreans are now more accepting of diverse beauty, but traditional ideals still dominate mainstream media and social expectations. Now let's tackle the big question. Do Koreans actually think foreigners, especially non-white foreigners, are attractive? The short answer is it depends. Korea is still a homogeneous society, meaning most people are Korean and their beauty standards naturally reflect their own features. So, when someone with different features come in, they might not immediately fit into the mainstream definition of beauty. But does that mean all Koreans think foreigners are ugly? Absolutely not. Back to the gist. Here is where things get very interesting. Let's look at people's reaction to the Asian woman's video and we'll be right back.
It's very hypocritical to build your whole entire platform on how you grew up being called ugly in Korea and how that affected you. Just to then make a video saying that foreign women are not attractive in Korea unless they look Russian. You gave 2 examples of what you had to look like as a foreigner to be considered attractive. The things that you talk about were true 10 to 15 years ago. And it's interesting that you're choosing to not engage with and ignore foreign women in your comments telling you that that is not true at all. Sometimes a foreigner is going to know more about life in Korea than you, who has not lived in Korea for many, many years. It's actually also interesting to me that you refused to delete and block the person who tagged me in your video and used your words to call me ugly. Most foreign women in Korea do not care or think about the Korean beauty standard. However, people love to weaponize it against us. And the only comments that you do engage with are the ones that are agreeing with you or being rude to one of my friends who called you out, who is Korean herself, and is telling you that you are wrong. You always talk about how you were made to feel ugly in Korea and how in America everyone calls you beautiful. You are not the American beauty standard, yet you can be considered beautiful because you see how 2 things can be true at once? Your boyfriend is literally Croatian, one of the whitest countries there is. You do not fit the Croatian beauty standard, yet he finds you attractive. Why does that rule only apply to you? I just don't appreciate someone speaking for me, claiming to know more about my experience.
I did see and watch that Korean American girl's video where she said that if you're a foreigner in Korea and you are not white, Korean people don't think you're pretty and don't consider you pretty because of toxic Korean beauty standards. She did get a lot of heat for that. Well deserved, and she did follow up with an apology video that I did watch where she did own up and apologize for her use of words, her tone, and being outdated and wrong on the whole thing. Here's the thing. Korean people don't give a shit what your race, ethnicity is. If you are pretty, you are pretty. They will tell you you're pretty. Korean people have no fucking problem telling people that they're pretty. They will tell you and they will mean it. Okay? And I'm not saying that, you know, her statement can't be true. There are Korean people out there who are incredibly racist, who are incredibly closed-minded, and who are incredibly ignorant, as do all other countries. It's not just Korea. Listen, I just think it's kind of crazy to be posting something like that with the verbiage being used in there, that if you are not white, it is not right. That is basically what I heard out of that entire video. I also feel like Korean people don't apply the toxic Korean beauty standards to foreigners. I feel like that has never applied to foreigners. I feel like the toxic Korean beauty standards have applied to us as Koreans. Do I feel like they apply that towards foreigners? No, because they know that their beauty standards are completely different than ours. So, like, I don't know. I guess I was like, where are you going with this? When she said because of the toxic Korean beauty standards, that I feel like they don't really apply that towards foreigners. And this is why sometimes I have a hard time liking this sort of content, this content about foreigners in Korea or being a foreigner in Korea, because there are a lot of harmful, like, stereotypes and generalizations that happen in this type of content. And to anyone who is thinking about going to Korea, who is thinking about moving to Korea, and you are not white, it is okay. If you are pretty, you are pretty. Okay? To Korean people. It does not matter if you are not white. I promise you. I promise you that there are Korean people who think that you are pretty.
So as you can see, people disagree with her. One of the creators said that, in Korea, if you're beautiful, you're beautiful. It doesn't matter where you're from. The other creator called her out for exaggerating and making Koreans seem more close-minded than they are. While traditional beauty standards still exist in Korea, I don't think there is a strict rule book. Many Koreans appreciate and are attracted to foreigners, even those who don't fit into those old ideals. Even though I get where the Asian lady is coming from, but I don't think everything she said in her video was absolutely true. And also, just because some Koreans embrace diverse beauty doesn't mean everyone in Korea does. There are still some of those who prefer the classic look, so it's more like a mixed thing. So after all the backlash, the Asian woman made an apology video, and this is what she had to say.
Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and apologize to everyone that I made feel uncomfortable and offended by my last video. I've only seen one stitched video, so I'll be apologizing for what I said wrong, and also I would like to clarify some of the things that I didn't intend to mean based on what was mentioned there. I've made videos talking about how I grew up ugly in Korea and started to get called pretty after moving to the States, and because of that video, there were some people asking me to explain how the beauty standard works differently towards non-Korean people, which is why I made that video. First of all, I was not the right person to make such a video like that because I've never lived in Korea as a non-Korean person, so I wouldn't know what it's like to be one, so it was very inconsiderate of me for even making that video video in the first place. I also realized many things that I said in the video were pretty outdated. When I talk about Korea, I tend to talk about it based on what I experienced, but I didn't take into consideration that it's already been 5 years and many things that have changed. Which is also my fault because it is my job to do the right research before making a video. I remember being quite shocked when I visited Korea back in 2022, which was my first time visiting ever since I moved to the States in 2019, by how there's so many things that have changed in such a short period of time. But I was not wise enough to realize that just like how things change, people change, the way they think change, and society change as well. So I want to apologize for that. Me being super defensive towards the other Korean girl's comment also came from me thinking that I know about Korea better than other people, which was super ignorant of me. Also, when I made the reply comments, I thought I was right because I remember seeing her making tutorials on how to brighten skin tone and things like that, when it could have been just her own experience, not the universal thing, so it was very immature and ignorant of me. And these are some of the things that I wanted to clarify. First is where it's mentioned that I used my voice to call her ugly, but that is not true at all. So this is basically what happened. I saw the reply comment this morning from filtered comment section, and I usually don't go through filtered ones, but honestly it got clicked by an accident because the phone that I was using was old and slow, so it was bugging. And I think that was like one of the first comments that I saw on there, and I remember it being like, oh, like, are you gonna leave the hate comments or something like that? And it was never my intention. So I tried to find the original comment, but I couldn't, so I thought I would approve the reply comment so I get a notification to delete it. So I did, and I didn't get any notifications, so I assumed that the original commenter had already deleted the comment, which turned out that they didn't, but I did not know, and I didn't even know that any replied to that comment. But I didn't have time to go through all the comments because I was already late for school. But one thing I want you guys to know is that I am very flawed and insecure person, so I'm the last person that will call someone ugly, especially for their skin color, as a person that literally got bullied for having a dark skin. I reached out and apologized to her for what happened, and we had a brief conversation, and she mentioned that my video made many women of color felt like they're less attractive, which they had to fight so long for, and that is something that I've never experienced as a person that grew up as a majority in Korea. And whether or not I intended, I am truly sorry for making many people feel the way they did. Second is where it's mentioned that I basically called a woman of color ugly, which is not what I intended at all. As I mentioned at the end of the original video, I really do not think anyone should care about if they fit in the beauty standard or not, especially fitting in the Korean beauty standard. Who literally cares? But I only made that video because I got requested to talk about it. Again, I said many wrong things, but I just wanted you guys to understand that I did not intend to talk down on anyone. Also, I really appreciate you guys for bringing up that I don't fit in the American beauty standard, but some people can still find me pretty, because I know it sounds embarrassing, but I was so stuck up that I didn't think of it that way towards other foreign people in Korea, that no matter what the beauty standard is, if you're pretty, you are pretty, and Korea is not an exception. Although I wish my boyfriend wasn't brought up into this conversation, that honestly really opened my eyes, and thank you guys so much for correcting and educating me on that.
So, she admitted that her experience does not reflect all of Korea and that she may have misrepresented the country. She also thanked people for calling her out. Now, was her initial claim completely false? Not necessarily. Some foreigners do struggle with beauty standards in Korea, but I think, she was also overgeneralizing. It's important to remember that one person's experience does not define an entire country's mindset. At the end of the day, my dears, beauty is subjective. It's also in the eyes of the beholder. While Korean society still holds on to traditional beauty ideals, times are changing. More people are embracing diverse looks, and foreigners, regardless of race, can also be seen as attractive. Was she completely wrong? No. Was she exaggerating? Probably. The biggest takeaway here is that we should not generalize an entire country's beauty standards based on one experience. Korean beauty norms are evolving, and like anywhere else, attraction is personal. So guys, what do you think? Do you agree with her? Have you experienced beauty bias in Korea or anywhere else? I would like to hear your thoughts about this in the comment section. My name is Benita. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, all the love in the world. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.